Hello and welcome to episode number 43 of your Bamboo Chalupa Digital Marketing Podcast. My name is Brett Snyder and my co-host Nate Shiver is off doing daddy things with his newborn baby son. And so we actually have some special guests on the program today. We have Taylor Griffith, who is one of the content writers here at Knucklepuck. When she heard Nate wasn't going to be available for a recording, she actually suggested to have a ladies' takeover day on the episode here. And so with that said, without any further ado, and I'll let Taylor kind of introduce the topic as well, I'm going to pass this over to Taylor to lend a lady's perspective to the Bamboo Chalupa experience.
Hey listeners, as Brett said, my name is Taylor. I am one of the content writers here at Knucklepuck, and today we are going to be talking about kickstarting your digital marketing career. I have two very special ladies here with me today for our ladies takeover, if you will, who are experts in this from their own personal experience. So in general, our talk today is going to be about all of you aspiring marketers who have questions about breaking into the field. How do you do it? Where do you look? What questions do you ask? All of those things. Some of you might be in college and looking to start your career from, square one, and others of you might be looking for a career change, or maybe you're pursuing SEO as a hobby. Either way, that's what we're trying to talk about today. So, our experts are both part of the Knucklepuck team, and they each have a recent experience with starting a digital marketing career. So our first ever intern here at Knucklepuck is Lizzy Urtso.
Hi.
And we are also going to be speaking with Lizzy's supervisor and also one of the full-time SEOs on our team, Meghan Furey.
Hello, everyone.
Thanks for joining us. So we're just going to get right started with the two of you. I want to hear a little bit about your background and how, what is your digital marketing career and how did you get started? So Lizzy, we can start with you. Where did your interest in SEO come from, and how did you end up here at Knucklepuck this summer?
Sure. So I'm a senior at Villanova University. I originally was a marketing major, and after shadowing here at Knucklepuck in December, I decided that I wanted to explore the analytics at Villanova that they offered. And so they just offered a business analytics major. So I upgraded my major to double marketing and business analytics. And then I reached out to Knucklepuck and got an internship here. So now I'm here.
Cool. And how long is your internship?
My internship is for the summer. So end of May to beginning of August.
Cool. All right. And Megan, what about you? How did you start your SEO career and come to work at Knucklepuck?
Well, I've been an SEO associate for now a year and a half. I'm actually the second member, aside from Brett, of the Knucklepuck team. I first started out applying for jobs back my second semester of senior year, just kind of looking around, especially in the DC area, for any communications, marketing, consulting positions.
Was that your major?
Yes, communications was my major, and really all of my previous internships varied. I went from being a editorial intern at a lifestyle magazine to being a government relations intern, then social media. So I was really all over the place and didn't really know where I wanted to end up, but I knew that I wanted to be at a place that I could make a big difference. So I reached out to the LinkedIn Villanova alumni group and told them kind of what I really wanted to do, what my skills were, and Brett immediately saw that and reached out to me. We exchanged words over coffee just about kind of what his aspirations were for the Knucklepuck agency and what he wanted the startup to be like. So I really took on to the idea of SEO because it's a constantly evolving industry, and I myself love learning new things, and every day you're being taught something new, whether it's a difference in algorithm, difference in the digital marketing trends itself. So I thought it was a really great opportunity, and that's really how I got into SEO, not having any experience whatsoever.
Cool. And the industry, I think both of you can agree, is something that is very new and growing, and just like both of your careers, so it's a cool thing.
Yeah, I think that SEO, it's not a new industry, but the fact that the algorithm changes hundreds of times a year, and users are finding new ways to search for information, whether it's using social media or even customer reviews on Yelp, things like that. There's different ways in which businesses can become present online. And I think it's our job to identify those different trends and to help our clients be where their audience is, as Brett always says.
Absolutely, yeah. So for people who want to do what we do, who want to be digital marketers, who want to be SEOs, content writers, whatever it is, developers working in the SEO and digital marketing field, really the end goal is working in the field. So there's 3 sort of steps, I think, that we all agree upon of how to get there. One of them is maybe getting an internship. One of them is getting an education on SEO and digital marketing. And one is actually like finding jobs that you want to apply for and interviewing for them. So I can't wait for both of you to share your experience on this sort of from the other side of somebody who's done it. So we can definitely start with internships, since that applies as something relevant for both of you right now. Lizzy as our intern here. What's a day in the life of your internship? Let's start there.
Sure. I know for me, like a day in the life of an internship here at Knuckle Puck is, it's always changing, and whether you're at a place that focuses on clients or in-house, it's still changing. So it kind of varies from day to day, especially with what the needs are at the time. But I think in general, an internship, especially like this, is super, super helpful in terms of getting the knowledge of what SEO is, like just the basis of all the types of things you could do in this world, because I'm here exposed to content writers, developers, paid search people, everything that I could delve into something else. Like right now I focus on SEO, but maybe I could focus on PPC, but now I know that.
Has anything surprised you about your internship? I know you shadowed here for a day, so you sort of had a glimpse into what maybe your internship would be like, but has anything about this internship or experience in general surprised you? Maybe you learned something you didn't expect that you would?
I think the biggest thing for me is I didn't realize the impact that this has on actual like real-time data, like what clients view, what customers view, what just people in general view on the internet. Like my first day I changed meta descriptions and title tags, something super easy to do, but I saw it the next day, which was super surprising that I didn't realize that you could actually change it. And in terms of like being an intern, that was something super gratifying to have like a tangible change, and you could do that on the very basic level like I did, or you could do that on the very like drastic level.
And I think that aside from making the actual changes, we have the ability to also see what the impact of those changes are. Lizzy, already being Google Analytics certified, already can see kind of the back end of what the impact of those recommendations are. She's, aside from helping out with some of the SEO projects that we do, some of the outreach with link building, she also has been helping us a lot with our reporting for clients, which is what we do to show our clients on a monthly basis, like the site overall performance, whether it's specifically just organic or some of what are the top referral traffics are, social media, things like that, and kind of being exposed to our data-driven approach, I think is essential also as being part of any digital marketing agency, to not only provide the recommendations, but to also see what the impact of those recommendations
are. For sure,
are.
and as like a student, you're taught to look at the data to back up whatever you're saying, whether it's proposal you have to write for like an English paper or something, anything, you have to have like the actual data to back it up. So I think that has like come pretty natural, and most people learn that in college, and that's what you learn, and not necessarily the like exact SEO, Google Analytics, like any of that stuff specifically, but you know like that background, and that really helps, and that's something that you should focus on in college in terms of like knowing that everything's driven by some data.
Also, if I can mention kind of seeing you as an intern, and from my internships experiences, it's definitely a very different environment because everyone is bouncing off of each other's ideas, and it might be just because we're smaller, but I think that overall, being in a digital marketing SEO agency, interns dive in as soon as they walk through the door. And whether it's being part of like actual client projects or doing some of the email outreach we're doing, I think that being a digital marketing intern allows you to make a instant impact.
Megan, you are Lizzy's internship supervisor right now. It was, I know, one of your responsibilities to come up with what she's going to be learning and doing here. For you, what should an SEO internship look like? What should a digital marketing internship look like? I know you've already touched on some of those things, interacting with clients, learning the systems that we use. Is there anything else?
I first want to say that this is not an internship that requires any knowledge of making coffee, especially since we also have a Keurig, or making quesadillas, which is a inside joke that we had here before Lizzy started. But I think that one of the most important aspects of being a digital marketing intern is to be willing to learn and to be passionate about learning the subject. Because for all of us who work at a digital marketing agency, it's a constantly changing spectrum.
Absolutely.
And by being able to dive in immediately and to have the training the first couple of days just to get that basic foundation, I think is essential. And then from there to continue to learn, continue to ask questions. I think being a digital marketing intern, there's going to be things thrown at you that are going to be confusing, things that you are a little bit hesitant asking a question, but there really shouldn't be any questions that you should be hesitant about asking, because that's how you learn.
Right.
And
Yeah, and just to touch on that, like, if you don't ask questions, you're doing not only yourself a disservice, but the company a disservice. You're not helping anyone, and you're not helping yourself learn. So questions are definitely huge, especially since no one's expecting you to know how to do all this stuff.
Yeah. Well, and that's a perfect segue. So both of you just talked about intangibles. Those aren't things that you're walking in the door with. You don't...
Yeah.
Lizzy, you came here Google Analytics certified, but most people don't even have that under their belt. I know I don't, and I work here full time too. So what kind of things would you expect as a supervisor? What kind of things would you expect an intern to come with? Any experience, any education, anything?
I think that for younger people especially, I graduated with no SEO experience whatsoever or any knowledge of the impact that digital marketing has. I definitely did have a presence on social media. I had an understanding of kind of the ways in which you can interact with industry experts with social media and whatnot. Other than that, I think the first couple of days are very learning intensive, and to come in prepared for that is really the most important thing. I think that also the person needs to be, as I said before, passionate about this industry, because this is a constantly evolving industry. And to be able to adjust campaigns, to learn new things, to be reading these industry blogs all the time, like there's an element of passion that comes with that, because you have to just never stop learning. So
you have to be able to jump from different clients so quickly, and because of our values, we tend to take on the values of our clients as well. And being able to bounce from those is like super that was a learning curve, and something that you have to focus on those first few days, and something that you have to keep in mind. In-house might be very different, because you don't have to change the different ways you look at things, but I think that, like Megan said, like agility and like being able to adapt is super important in this industry as a digital marketing.
So an ideal digital marketing internship should be very similar to what everyone else does at a digital marketing agency, to have those basic time management skills, to be able to interact with clients, to be interpersonal, and to just ask questions if you don't know the answer.
Well, and to touch on that, I feel like I definitely am an intern, but I feel like I do the same work or similar work to people here. Which is super empowering as an intern, and something that I think people see in every digital marketing like industry or internship, because they need you to be that person. So
yeah, we're expecting you to make an impact and to really contribute.
So it sounds like both of you would really recommend for anyone interested in breaking into the digital marketing field to try an internship, right?
Yeah, because it's not only just a matter of getting an advanced, becoming more advanced in the industry itself, but also, we'll touch on this later, but networking from internships is just very essential. You create those immediate connections with people who have experience in digital marketing and who know other digital marketers. So perhaps you want to, as Lizzy said, go into more paid and are looking for a position in the paid industry. She can immediately go to Mora and talk to some of her connections, just kind of getting a larger network, I think, is another benefit.
And I think on top of that, just knowing if you like it, just trying it out. And
absolutely,
I conceivably could have come here and hated it, not just
which happens all the time.
And I could have just hated it. And so it's also super valuable just for yourself to know whether this is something you want to do for the rest of your life. And it also, like Megan said, if I wanted to focus on a specific area and that's all I wanted to do versus being someone who's more flexible and does like a lot of different things, I could focus on that and know that I want that in the future.
Yeah, because it exposes, like, working at a digital marketing agency, you're exposed to all the different aspects of digital marketing. There's people who are working on social media campaigns, email marketing. There's SEO, local SEO even for small businesses. There's just so many different realms that are part of the entire digital marketing package that you're exposed to, and based on what your skills are and what your interests are, you'll be able to, during that internship, find what you're passionate about and really hone in on those skills.
Yep, cool. I completely agree.
So another way to break into SEO and digital marketing is via your education, investing in any kind of a digital education. And for some people, like Lizzy, that involves going to college and pursuing a particular major or certain classes. For some people, that's taking online classes. I know, for example, our developer here is a self-taught programmer.
Yep,
He learned on his own via online classes how to code and how to do all of that. So there's a million different ways you can educate yourself. So for someone who is looking to break into digital marketing and wants to start with education, can either of you touch on a way for them to do that, whether, like, we can start with college because that's something that's relevant to you, Lizzy. So are there any majors that somebody can pursue?
Yeah, I think something very important to note is that people are not now coming out of college with degrees that specifically relate to digital marketing. Like, I will be coming out of college with a business analytics degree, which doesn't necessarily specifically do digital marketing, but is very honed in towards digital marketing in terms of like the class structure. So I think knowing like the young population, knowing that, if you think that SEO is something you want to do, definitely go for majors that are similar to that. Whether that's marketing, or if your college doesn't offer analytics, it could be marketing and like stats, or like marketing and anything like that could possibly like guide you towards that. And for me, it came naturally. I liked marketing and I liked numbers, so there I am. So it just came naturally. But in terms of continuing education, I think that there's a lot of graduate classes that offer amazing, very specified classes anywhere. And if you just take like a class a night, or like even just take like a few classes
online,
online, just to like touch up whatever you're interested in, even if you're already in the SEO world or digital marketing world, it could help.
Yeah, and I think that schools are recognizing that the digital marketing industry is gaining a lot of ground and really is lacking in the right talent. So I hear about colleges such as Georgetown, George Mason now having programs, whether it's graduate or even undergraduate, that specialize in digital marketing, SEO. In addition to that, there's a lot of, in someone's area, there might be think tanks. I know that we have General Assembly, which provides a lot of these different seminars from people who actually are experts in digital marketing, web development.
So local opportunities.
Yeah, local opportunities. These people who provide workshops, classes, even seminars, meetups. A lot of times there's people who have their own digital marketing agencies, or people who do SEO for different companies. And so, for example, someone who may not be interested in doing digital marketing full-time, but they really want to help expand their business's presence online, they can go to these seminars and kind of learn the basics. And because SEO is something that can be taught, and Brett really hones in on that. And by going out there and finding those additional opportunities, someone who actually owns a business could potentially do it on their own. So aside from that, I think that a lot of different meetups, networking groups,
even listening to this podcast, like people learn a whole bunch of things just listening
industry
to
blogs,
like even on the way to your work, listening to like a digital media blog or whatever.
There's a lot of
super helpful.
A lot of thought leaders know that, as we hone in on this a lot, that there is a certain learning curve that comes to understanding digital marketing, and having those industry leaders on your Twitter list, or reading their blogs, getting their newsletters. I have a couple industry leaders that I love that send email newsletters every day, including Nate's, is always really helpful. And for anyone who wants to enter the industry, I would highly suggest finding those different people and start reading their information, because that's a really great way to start. That was how I started learning a little bit more, aside from the basics of SEO when I first started. So,
and as we already talked about, an internship is a huge learning experience.
Huge.
And it's not, I think what both of you have touched on is you don't have to pursue a traditional education, a traditional higher education experience, going to college and pursuing a marketing major or a business analytics major or a computer programming major to be able to work in digital marketing. You can read blogs, pay attention on Twitter, do an internship, take an online class, any of those things, and those are all just as valuable learning experiences.
I think it's a very self-learning. Self-learning area, because as we've touched on, a lot of colleges are still trying to come up with ways to meet the needs of companies that are looking for digital marketing skills. And so a lot of people who are looking for these types of jobs are people who have already graduated. So they need those resources outside of the college university spectrum. And I think that the people of the digital marketing industry are very welcoming and understandable of that. So that's why they provide all of these outside resources.
Yeah, and I think to touch on what Megan said, it's like, since it's self-learning, you have to be, most people that I've met, at least so far in this industry, are pretty motivated.
Yes.
Like, they want to learn, they do this because they want to do it, and they like it. Which is kind of something that surprised me, because I didn't really expect people to actually necessarily, like, all the people I met, liked what they do.
Yeah, but it's just, there's just a passion element behind it, because that you're making of instant impact.
Well, and you kind of have to be you have to be motivated, because this isn't a place where you just do one thing all day and it's the same thing, or if it's even templated and you just do it. You have to be willing to learn and make it better and add value to.
Probably a year from now, what we're doing is going to be obsolete in regards to the changes in Google algorithms, because there's just so many evolving elements with semantic search, with now, for example, the add button is green, which co-lines with how the URLs are presented. Just, there's so many changes that Google makes and other search engines. And in addition to that, how people look for information with social media and interact with brands. You have to be on top of all of that, and that requires a certain amount of hustle and
special person.
Yeah, it sounds like, and I know this from my experience working here at Knucklepuck too, everybody is a trailblazer in their own way, because the field is newer, but it is constantly evolving, growing, changing, exactly what both of you have talked about. So for people who maybe are looking to change their careers in their postgraduate life, whether you are 25 looking for a career change, or 35 or 45 or 50, any of that, looking to maybe make a change, digital marketing could be a place for you if you have the passion, if you're looking to do something different, if you like to learn. So that brings us to sort of our last point of this, which is, now that you have gotten an education and are continuing to learn about digital marketing, and maybe you've gotten an internship, which is a great educational opportunity for so many people looking to break into the industry. The last piece is getting that digital marketing job, which is everybody's sort of end goal. So I wanted to ask both of you, but particularly Megan, because you're on the other side of this, really, because you do work full-time in SEO. How does somebody start looking for a job in digital marketing? I know you touched on your networking experience, and that's how you got this job, but there's many ways to do it.
Yeah, I definitely think that networking is a really excellent way to identify a job, especially with an organization that you're affiliated with, your school. Going to some of these networking events, I know that in DC there's a bunch of them that happen every year with different meetups, different seminars, even going to a digital marketing conference. Some of them are a little bit pricey, but I think it's a really excellent way to meet fellow members of the digital marketing industry and to kind of get some insights and to throw some business cards out there. In addition to that, I think, as Lizzy is doing, getting an internship is such a great way. And then also, of course, I don't underestimate what different job sites have. For example, with Mashable, I know they always are posting job listings for the digital marketing industry. Also Twitter.
Twitter is such a great resource for finding jobs. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, people are always posting especially people in the digital marketing. They are able to leverage kind of those resources that they know work.
Well, and the people who would be applying would be people who are also interested in digital marketing world, because they'd be on there too.
Oh yeah, they have a social presence. Yeah. Taylor actually reached out to us before your interview, correct?
Yeah, actually, that was, and I didn't know that it worked really until after I was hired here, but one thing that happened for me, I applied for the job to be a content writer here at Knucklepuck, which I found on Craigslist, by the way, so don't underestimate resources like that, too, that aren't more of a traditional
Indeed.com, things like that.
Yeah, but even Craigslist, I found this job on here, and here I am. But when I applied afterward, I was like, I really need to get an interview for this job because it sounds so cool. And so I did everything I could to look up Knucklepuck and the staff here, including Brett and Allie, our director of SEO. And I tweeted at them. And Megan, because you were also listed on the website at that time. So it was the three of you in a row listed on the website as contacts. And it had your Twitter handles. So I tweeted at the three of you and said, so excited to have applied for this position. Love to hear from you. And apparently it worked because here I am.
Yeah, I think that really having an understanding of the different parts of digital media and what they can do to leverage your brand, your personal brand, is an excellent way to put your best foot forward. So by interacting with different industry leaders or different agencies saying, oh, I love this blog post that you wrote about blah, 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 is a really great way to kind of make that good first impression, going beyond the initial job application. And then in addition to that, as I was saying before, meetup groups, General Assembly, these think tanks are always posting jobs because freelancers or smaller agencies are looking for people willing to start entry level. Local groups, maybe businesses who provide more of the local SEO. And yeah, I just think that there's so many different opportunities aside from the regular job listings, but definitely don't underestimate those as well.
And even if you like a specific brand, you could even go to that brand and see if they need anyone in-house.
Or something, I don't know if either of you have ever done this, but I know I did this in college, an informational interview where you reach out to, like Megan, like you said, let's say there's somebody on Twitter or on Facebook, wherever, a blog you subscribe to that you just think like they are so cool, I want to do what you do. You can reach out to them on a personal level. It builds that personal rapport and say, do you mind spending half an hour on the phone, on GChat, on like whatever, and just talking to me about what you do and how you got there and how can I get there? Do you have any tips for me? And not even looking for a job, but sometimes jobs come out of that because then the people meet you and then they say, you know what? We actually might be looking for somebody soon, or I have a friend who works at another agency who might be looking for somebody. Let me see if I can help you. I know plenty of people who've done that, and they get the immediate benefit of speaking to somebody in the industry, but sometimes it really does lead to jobs.
And even if it immediately doesn't turn out to be a job, cultivating that relationship and taking advantage, networking with some of the people they may know that have job openings, is just a really critical. I remember when I was looking at jobs, And the head of the Villanova alumni group actually connected me with 7 or 8 different people. And while they weren't part of the digital marketing industry, I just think that overall, when it comes to networking, the most important thing is to maintain those relationships. And so for those who are trying to get into the digital marketing realm, by, as Taylor and Lizzy both hinted on, getting in touch with some of those different agencies, industry leaders, bloggers, and getting in touch with them, talking over coffee, things like that. And then afterwards, maintaining that relationship, it keeps a lot of doors open.
Oh yeah, totally. So before we wrap up, I wanted to ask both of you, and Lizzy, we can start with you. What's your number one tip for an aspiring SEO, an aspiring content marketer, anybody looking to break into the digital marketing field? What is your number one tip for them for getting that career started?
My number one tip would be bold. You have to be bold in what you think. You have to be outspoken. You have to be able to say, hey, I think there's something wrong with this. You also have to be able to even get a job. We all were bold. You, LinkedIn, Twitter. I reached out after shadowing, which wasn't necessarily ever supposed to be an internship after. Just reaching out.
That's a great tip.
Yeah, and just being bold in what all you do. That way people know that you're an asset and you can learn.
Yeah.
You'll learn whatever they do specifically, but you are someone that they would want on your team.
Great. Megan, your turn. What about you? What's your number one tip for somebody looking to kickstart their digital marketing career?
I think that as soon as they have their foot in the door, this is for people who are, whether they're starting as interns or people who are entry level, never be afraid to answer no to someone who says, I think that it's just important that if you have questions that you ask them immediately. Don't assume that your question is stupid, because as we've touched on, this is a learning industry. A lot of people don't go into digital marketing having an understanding of what digital marketing is, what its impact is. And if you sit there when someone is explaining to you something, whether it's Google Analytics, the importance of on-page optimization with title tags, meta descriptions, differences in link baiting or more of this long-form content, make sure that you ask your questions, because that's the only way that you're going to learn, and that's the only way that you're going to eventually move on in this industry. If you're just you're more likely to stay stagnant if you say, nope, don't have any questions, than the person being like, oh, well, actually, I do have this small question about this. That small question could help you learn something that really creates an aha moment.
Yeah, propels you forward in your career.
Exactly. So I think that since this is a learning industry, don't be afraid to ask questions, because that's the only way you're going to learn.
Well, thank you both so much. That's all we have time for today. So I really appreciate both of you, Lizzy and Megan. We're busy here at Knuckle Puck, but I'm sure Brett and Nate both appreciate the both of you taking out your time to answer these questions. And I know our listeners are really going to appreciate these tips, because they are looking to be like you one day.
Yes, and I have never regretted stepping into the digital industry, especially not having any experience at all whatsoever. So I encourage anyone who has just a little hint of interest in it to just kind of take that extra step, take that leap of faith, and to see if it's something that you're interested in, because I've not regretted it at all.
Listeners, if you like Bamboo Chalupa, please subscribe to the podcast in iTunes or your favorite podcasting app. That works too. And feel free to leave a comment or a rating while you're there. I know Brett and Nate would really love your feedback and anything that you can say that will help them improve this podcast. So from here in the Knuckle Puck headquarters in Arlington, Virginia, this is Taylor Griffith and Lizzy Urtso and Megan Furey signing off. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.